Welcome to our talk studio, and we're joined by the Principal Secretary from the Ministry of Interior, Mutea Iringo, to discuss the serious security matters that have been happening in the country, the crime, and there is the launch coming up of the Rapid Results Initiative. Our question tonight, as you have seen, relates to Nyumba Kumi. Let's start there. What's the relationship between RRI and Nyumba Kumi?
Yeah, perhaps I should talk about RRI first. RRI is a management tool to improve service delivery, and at this particular time I think Kenyans will agree that we really need to improve a lot in the security sector. Of course, this is critical because security challenges keep evolving and changing over time, and this is why we need really to use modern tools in managing security.
So what's the scope of the project, the initiative?
The initiative will involve all departments under the ministry. The Ministry of Interior and coordination of national governments, of course, currently under the new dispensation, includes the former Provincial Administration of Internal Security, which was the police and the DCs right down to the chiefs, but now includes the Home Affairs, which deals with the prisons and other related departments. It also includes the Ministry of Immigration and the former Ministry of Special Programs. So all these ministries, if you look at their functions, one way or the other, they have to do with security, and this is why they were brought together under the Ministry of Interior and coordination of national governments.
So what's the interplay between the initiative? How do you engage when it comes to citizens? How do you engage the citizenry?
You talked about Nyumba Kumi and the involvement of the citizens. Nyumba Kumi, I would like to say, is actually simply the revitalization, or rather the energization of the community policing concept, which has been with us. We have realized that we really need to get down to Kenyans at the very local and at a very localized level to participate in their security, because without doing this, it will be difficult for security officers to cover the 40 million Kenyans. It is critical really to involve Kenyans because the security challenges have changed. They are not conventional, and at the moment you need everybody's participation.
They're very dynamic.
In particular is not equivalent to the dictionary meaning of the 10 houses or 10 homes. It is actually a community of interests. It may be in an estate, it may be in a flat, it may be the Manyata in Maasai Land, for instance, or a street for that matter. Really. Right. So we want people, wherever they are, to be aware of who their neighbor is.
In a sense, it's the "Am I my brother's keeper?" concept. What would you say, though, to those people who say, look, it's not my business to police. The police force exists to police. Why are you asking me to watch my neighbors? And some people do, feel that it's a step too far. What would you say to that?
Well, much as everybody is concerned about the security on a day-to-day basis, we really want to impress upon Kenyans that it is their duty. It is their duty to be responsive and also to participate, because without doing that, it will be very difficult for a police officer to be in every home to police you. So we would like every Kenyan to know their neighbor. From now onwards. Just getting to know your neighbor. If he has bad intentions, definitely you relocate. If he relocates and gets to another estate or village, you still face the same questions, and that way we'll be able to identify those the bad elements among us.
And in many ways, there's more safety and security even for the individual when people are aware that everyone is watching.
Indeed, much as we are trying to say increase the number of police stations and the number of policemen, we may need to reduce them if Kenyans did that.
Oh dear, but let me come to that now, because you've brought that up, and this is an important part of all this. For the longest time, the police force in Kenya, has been crying out for investment in so many things. Investment in the conditions and the remuneration for staff, investment in staff training, investment in our police stations, the equipment, that is used. At the end of the day, we can do a lot of things as a country, but if we don't invest appropriately in our police force, is it all in vain?
Indeed, security is critical for every aspect of life. Without security, it is very difficult to grow an economy. Unfortunately, over the years, security sector has been seen as a service provider and therefore do not require sufficient or rather significant resources, unlike, say, the roads and other sectors. But increasingly, at the moment, you realize that unless we invest critically, substantially in security, it will be very difficult to achieve the Millennium Goals, to achieve the Vision 2030. So it is really critical to ensure that we implement the reforms, the reforms in police as part of the wider security, the wider government reforms in the country to make sure that we stabilize and create an environment that is enabling for development to take place.
So is this happening? What plans are in place? What has been effected that you feel is an example of the way forward, or has it not quite started yet?
Yeah, it has started, and in a big way. Currently, the National Treasury, the governments and the presidents in person is very keen to ensure that substantial resources are deployed or rather are given to the security sector to improve the ICT or rather to leverage technology in combating crime, because of course if you look at the last several years, we have used technologies that have been overtaken by the times. We need to leverage technology in a major way. We also need equipments. We need equipments from transport to the body armor, the manner in which the policemen dress, because previously the challenges for a policeman policing in our streets were different. Today, a policeman can be shot by criminals out there, perhaps terrorists or whoever. Therefore, they require better equipments in terms of bulletproof vests and that kind of thing.
Let's now talk about quality of the staff in the police. And I have to touch on this because the country watched the vetting exercise recently, and I think we were in many ways stunned by some of the responses and in particular, for instance, when it came to issues of personal wealth. There was a lot of stuttering and stammering, unclear answers. When it came to comprehension of the questions, articulation of issues, I think it's really staggering to think that some of these people were in charge of trying to solve criminal cases in Kenya. What assurances can we get? And I do know that in the police force, you have people who are training, who are doing incredible things to improve the knowledge. But let me ask this frankly. Do we need generational change? Does it mean we need real investment in individuals so that they can climb up the career ladder, introduce new knowledge in our police force? Where are we failing?
We are getting there. Of course, we are looking at where we are coming from. The aim of vetting of the police officers in the country, of course, is to improve, or rather to ensure that we take stock of the resources, the human resource or the human capital, with a view of ensuring they are properly deployed, and of course placed according to their capabilities. Of course, we also want to root out or weed out the few elements that may not be suitable in the force, but that is not the overriding. That's not the overriding aim. We also want to make sure that the police officers, as they work, are more accountable and professional in their approach to the manner in which they serve Kenyans. We want a friendly police force, and this actually is already being actualized in the training colleges. We have a generation coming up that is different from the policeman of the 1960s.
Okay, so you say it's happening. We are moving forward. I have an SMS here from someone asking, but where's the concrete proof? These are all castles in the air, he says. How do you respond to that? People are saying we don't see it, we hear it, but when will we feel it, and especially on the ground?
Of course, the reason why we have not under major impact in terms of reforms in the police sector is also the resourcing. You know, when the task force that the Lansbury report was prepared, they came up with a budget of over 100 billion, and from this we have only managed about 30% of that. So this is why the reforms may not have been felt so significantly, but ideally I would say that we have had a number of changes, even the way the police officers approach citizens. They are more friendly now and more accountable.
We'll continue
but
talking.
It's a journey that we must work together.
We'll continue on the RRI, but just to ask the question, can we afford not to invest what needs to be invested to ensure that our police force are capable, equipped, and can deal with this situation, the dynamic situation in Kenya, which is a hub, and we know is terrorists are busy at work. We've got a lot of cybercrime growing. So let me ask this back to the Rapid Results Initiative. In terms of implementation, currently there seems to be a little bit of a push and pull between county governments and the national government in terms of who is in charge of security. Marsabit is a case in point. How's that situation going, and how will you handle this when it comes to the operations of the RRI?
Well, with regard to who is in charge of what in terms of security, of course, the national government, and indeed the Ministry of Interior and co-national government is in charge of security in the country within the borders. However, and of course we have the county security committees that have been activated to deal with the security at county levels. Under the county security team, we have the sub-county security committees, which are the equivalent of the former district security committees. Under that, we have the divisional or the ward security committees, down to the sub-location where it interfaces, where the security committees interface with the Nyumba Kumi now at the level of community. There is no, I would say that there is no contradiction or overlap of security responsibilities at the county. We expect the county governments also to partner with us, and indeed this has been seen in a number of places where they have even donated vehicles to the national government for use for security and other equipments. We have a representative of the county, of the governor in the county security committee, and we also have a forum where the county governments and indeed all other stakeholders can take to task the security officers, or rather give their priorities depending on the security challenges that are obtaining in that particular area for them to tackle. So they are partners actually in developments, and I would like to say that really we have had a lot of cooperation in this area. There may have been one or two areas which have given the impression that there is no cooperation, but ideally on the overall 90%. We are cooperating and we are working together.
So we don't tell the good stories, the positive stories, we see the negative.
There's a lot, right from Mombasa to many other counties that are working very closely.
Thank you. Just before we close, we have a story tonight which you must have seen about Narok and what's going on in Narok, a group of thugs who are terrorizing people. It's been happening over a few days. This is not an isolated incident. You do have places where there are patterns of crimes that develop, and yet you see time and time again it's not being dealt with. I want to ask this: where does the buck stop in a local area when people are saying this is happening to us day in, day out? Who is responsible, and who do the people on the ground hold accountable? And what would you say to Kenyans to once again inspire confidence? There seems to be a communication gap when it comes to a lot of things to do with the Ministry of Interior. The difficulty perhaps in relaying some sensitive information, huge gaps. We recently see JKIA and the issue of the bulb incident. This happened in the Westgate incident as well, where people feel information is not flowing or it's not accurate. What would you want to say in terms of, at local level, where does the buck stop, and how can you restore the confidence of the people in the security agencies? Please, the floor is yours.
Part of the aim and objectives of the RRI is, of course, to make sure that the security sector, or rather all the organs under security, work much more closely and, of course, in collaboration with the people. An incident like that of Narok, of course, is not is an isolated one, and of course it can occur in any other part of the country. Of course, that is
repeated attacks, no action. Where does the buck
not
stop?
really.
Where does the buck stop? 2 days in a row, the same gang terrorizing residents.
Yeah,
Who bears responsibility?
These are challenges we expect, and of course the local security team at the district and the county level are in charge, and I believe, of course, what you see, the advances we have made in technology, the enlightenments, and the fact that we have several youths out there who are not engaged is a challenge. So once this happens, we of course utilize intelligence. We also ensure that we loop in the local people to give information, and I'm confident that this will be contained.
Okay.
We have actually worked on such other incidents and successfully.
Very briefly, final words to Kenyans. Very briefly, please. Your message to the country in terms of security.
Yeah, what I would like to appeal to Kenyans is that under the RRI, which is envisaged to come in the next 30 days, in the next 90 days, we expect to reduce incidents of insecurity, but we really call upon all Kenyans to embrace community policing, to embrace nyumba kumi, because this we really will be able to provide security to Kenyans much faster and more rapidly under the Rapid Results Initiative.
Thank you for coming.
We also call upon the Parliament to allocate more resources to the security sector, so that we do not have security officers saying that they have no vehicles, for instance, to respond to crime, that they do not have this or that, particularly in terms of equipment.
Thank you.
And that way we'll be able to, we want to assure Kenyans that we are equal to the task.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah. So 2 main things. Let's have the public support in the fight against security, but also let's have funds allocated. The media is with you in this fight. We certainly want to see our streets safe.